We generated around 560 plus million impressions organically. Those
creating property cards for the first time for people owning houses in the rural areas.
We have a patent on a bits technology, which...
But we were really guided by what we wanted it to be.
In terms of the content consumption pattern has changed.
Very competitive, very strong.
The objective is basically to democratize cancer care.
I see a very bright future for retail industry.
technology now allows us to scale up.
We also want to help patients become more compliant.
If I look at the custom solutions market, it's almost about $1,500 billion.
Your customers will not continue to be with you if you don't change gear.
We had adopted digitalization much earlier.
Within a very short span of time, we are the number one operator in the whole of South India.
If you are reaching out to a lakh people today, you would be reaching out to an entire globe tomorrow.
We got those two brands and then immediately got into a few of the LFRs, and there was no looking back.
Hello, everyone, and good morning. Good morning to the 33rd episode of Ascent Talks. My name is Ajit and I'm an Ascent member for the past 12 years now, and I lead Nova, an air conditioning company, and Pure Blue, a tech-enabled startup in the air conditioning domain. And my co-host, who's back from his super holiday, is Aleem. How are you doing, buddy?
Fantastic, Ajit. Good morning, everyone. And yes, it's the 33rd episode. You know what that means? That's 1,000 minutes of Ascent Talks. So, what is Ascent? Ascent is, Ajit will be better to tell you, but who's Aleem? Aleem Merchant is a person who runs Synapse. So, what better than who better than Ajit to tell us about Ascent? Ajit, please tell us about Ascent.
Awesome, Aleem. So for all of you who are joining us for the first time, Ascent is a not-for-profit organization founded by Harsh Mariwala, Chairman Marico Limited, and his deep passion for identifying promising entrepreneurs in the growth stage. Its primary objective is to support these entrepreneurs in expanding their enterprises and enhancing their entrepreneurial journey. Since its establishment in 2012, Ascent has successfully empowered over 850 entrepreneurs throughout India. Ascent stands out as a remarkable platform that fosters peer-to-peer collaboration, leveraging the collective strength of its members. At the heart of this platform are self-facilitated groups known as trust groups, where entrepreneurs come together to share their experiences, exchange ideas, and provide valuable insights. By creating such a vibrant ecosystem for learning and growth, Ascent enables its members to benefit from each other's knowledge and expertise. Ascent Talks, which takes place every week on Friday at 11 a.m., showcases the journeys of Ascent members, highlighting their fascinating entrepreneurial experiences. So today we have another interesting story. So Aleem, let's bring in our guest.
Absolutely. Welcoming Solomon Salvis, CEO of SimuRise, is widely known as a high energy, high impact, and seasoned leadership and talent development specialist. With 2 decades of experience in transforming values, behaviors, and mindsets to his unique business simulations and game-based learning methodologies. Solomon is also the sought-after leadership facilitator by leading organizations in various sectors. Over the last decade, Solomon has conducted leadership development programs for clients like Infosys, Tech Mahindra, Flipkart, Citibank, DBS, Nomura, JB Morgan, Abbott, Alkem, Lupin, Reliance, Shell, Adani, bhai kuch baki hai ke nahi hai, or Indigo Airlines, and many other leading organizations in India and internationally. And I'm sure he has just named a very few of them. So, Solomon, welcome to the show. I'm very, very happy to have you today.
Super. Thank you so much for having me, Aleem and Ajit. It is going to be super fun having a chat with you.
Thank you. And just off the bat, Solomon, can you tell us what do you do? I mean, while I did introduce you, what do you do? What does your organization do? And what is unique about it? Yeah.
Super. Thank you so much, Aleem. I represent a company called SimuRise, SimuRise Learning. It's one of the leading leadership and talent development organization. an organization that encourages reflective conversation for developing organization culture and future readiness of leaders and managers purely by the power of games, business simulations, and experiential learning. So when I say reflective conversations, since today we have a lot of entrepreneurs who are watching this particular video, very simple is they go through a particular experience. How can you make them reflect on that experience? And the minute they reflect on the experience, a new learning happens, a new aha moment happens. Now, very simple, if I can tell one of the entrepreneurs saying that, boy, your sales guys have gone, had an experience with the client, let them come back and just ask them reflective conversation questions. What went well? What did not go well? What do you think you could have done better or you can do better in the coming meeting? And that is the game changer, my dear friends.
Wow, that's amazing. But Solomon, tell me something. How big is this industry? I mean, in terms of its sheer size, the opportunities, and secondly, what we really want to know as entrepreneurs is, that you build this business around leadership. Is it really scalable model, or is it like a boutique niche which has its own limitations? But of course, it's a business at the end of the day. So, from an entrepreneurial perspective, what are your views around this?
Super, thank you. I'm part of ATD, which is the Association for Talent Development, which is a global company, and they publish reports every year. Now, one of the reports they published was the entire learning and development industry is roughly around $160 billion industry. And that's just in US. Okay. Now, in US, what they found out is organizations invest 1% of the revenue or 3% of the profit in terms of learning and development for the organization.
Oh.
Okay, that's the massive scale we are talking about. India, of course, the numbers are smaller. I mean, I don't want to share that, but the numbers are quite smaller from an India standpoint. But yeah, from a global standpoint, that's the kind of scale. Organizations, they have tremendous amount of change. They want to grow, they want to scale, and then they want to develop their leaders and managers to ensure that the change is taken care properly, ensure that they are growing and scaling to the next orbit. And that's a continuous journey for everybody in the organization.
So I'm curious to know, how did you come up with this idea? This is not a very conventional business, This is not something like, manufacturing or service. This is a very different. How did you come up with this idea? And then what was your journey? How did you get people to understand it? And then, how did you get opportunities along the way?
Super. So once again, I go back to the report. The report also says that roughly around 60 to 65% of training which happens globally is a traditional classroom training, which means there's a trainer who comes, he's got a PowerPoint presentation, and then they kind of present. Most of the time we found it's dull, it's boring, it's unengaging. All right. And that's how my journey also started. But then soon I realized that if I can bring some element of fun, some element of engagement, some element of inspiration, some element of immersion, the learning can be super fun, super engaging, super inspiring. And that's how in 2010, I started with games and simulations, right? So my mission is to transition organizations who are using traditional, boring classroom training into highly engaging, inspiring, immersive learning experiences.
Got it.
Wow. So Solomon, it's very clear. It's not going to be an easy business like how Aleem said. It's like kind of a little different, not like the traditional manufacturing services. I've known one thing about you is from your early stages, it's been a lot of resilience, right? Tell us about that little life journey of yours, and I'm sure everyone would like to hear that from you because it's had a big impact on who you are today. So tell us about those challenges that you had at the early stages, then building that entire business and then getting to where you are. You must share this with us.
Super. Thank you. I'll probably just go back a little and, when I conduct leadership development programs for most of the leading corporates, I tell them it doesn't matter where you get started. How do you leverage with what you have in your life? And I tell them a story of this little boy who started his journey in the city of Mumbai. When he was born, he found out that he's staying in a 10 by 10 hut. In Indian perspective, we call it as Jhopadpatti, Bombay language. A 10 by 10 hut where cow dung mixed with black mud was the flooring for him. Sticks threaded together and shaded with cow dung were the walls for him. Red tiles thatched together and undercovered with sticks were the ceiling for him. Open toilet for him and well water for drinking is how he started his life in the city of Mumbai. Take over a period of time, the same boy from the Jhopadpatti went on to train roughly around 200,000 corporate professionals in more than 20 different countries. And that same boy is standing and sitting in front of you, my dear friends. Right?
How amazing is that? So like you've used your entire adversity to your advantage, dude, and you convert and you become an entrepreneur and you built it. It's so amazing to hear that. And and what's also interesting is the fact that you're able to bring it out so gracefully and showcase that. Too good, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm still trying to understand one thing. Okay, I get that there was obviously a very difficult initial beginning, and then you saw this report and then you went. But how did you tune yourself into that? How did gamification happen? How did you get this idea? Okay, did you get a training, or was it a flashpoint moment?
Yeah, so in the year 2010, I actually partnered with a global company, a US-based company. And then I found out that organizations are far more ready to get simulated learning experiences rather than the traditional classroom training, which sometimes takes 2 days and 3 days and 4 days for the same impact to happen. So I found out in a 1 day or even a half a day, you can create the same engagement, same inspiration, same immersion in just a half a day's time. So I partnered with this global company, got the CEO of that global company to India 3 times in a row. And then I took him along with my sales call saying that, okay, we've got the simulations and would you love to experience? So we started getting one breakthrough after the other. And over a period of time, we have now conducted the simulations for most of the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 organizations, including their CEOs, CXOs, leaders, and managers and across. Okay, but there's something interesting which I would probably tell you, that I used to do a lot of classroom in-person business simulations, right? And we were quite popular. We also bought some $100,000 worth of kits from US. And then COVID happened. All right. Now imagine no business, no programs, all the contract got cancelled. And then I have my daughter coming right in front of me and asking me, what are you going to do with all the boxes? And literally my hands were up in the air, praying to God, Lord, what do I do next? All right. And in a matter of 3 months' time, we launched our first virtual simulation. And then we started across the country going and saying, so you have experienced our in-person, why don't you also experience our in virtual simulations?
Yeah.
And then luckily, we got a first breakthrough in Singapore. And then what we found out is that a lot of facilitators, corporate training facilitators, wanting to embrace our virtual simulations. And then there was no turning back, from Singapore to Malaysia, to Hungary, to Turkey, to Oman, to Argentina, to US. And then you'll not believe, we were only in one country, which is India. Because of COVID, we became global. So I've conducted programs in 20 different countries, and I've certified hundreds of facilitators in more than 12 to 13 different countries. How do you like that?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, one thing is very clear. You push this guy to the wall and you kind of bring something different out of him. That's pretty much kind of evidence, Solomon. But tell me something. You spoke about simulation. Just to get a little more clarity, what is this business simulation that you've been talking about? What is this business simulation?
Super. Thank you so much for asking that, Ajit. Business simulation as a concept is learn by doing, learn by practicing, learn by making mistakes, and learn from other people's mistakes. In a simulated environment, the natural behavior of a person comes out. This is exactly how we are on a day-to-day basis. So in an organization, are you collaborating or are you competing? Are you strategizing? Are you not strategizing? all of that I'm able to see in a simulated learning experience. And then the minute I get a chance, I make them reflect on that experience, right? And that's where a new learning, a new aha moment happens for them, right? And that's exactly what we've been able to do. One of the biggest challenge, Ajit and Aleem, in most of the organization is a challenge of collaboration, right? People are just not collaborating. They're working in silo mindsets. They are not sharing best practices. They're hiding the resources, right? So that's one challenge which we have been working on in a big way. Second major challenge is people are just not strategizing. They're running like the chicken with the head cut. So like that, we actually go to organizations and ask them, please give us your problem statement. And based on the problem statement, we'll configure and customize the entire debriefing for you and then conduct the entire experience for the organization.
Aleem, I'm talking to him, and as a business owner, when he's saying all these things, I feel like I'm not talking to a professional trainer, I'm talking to my psychotherapist, Collaboration, teamwork, how do I get it going, communication, working in silos. Well, like, yeah, how did he read my mind? This is my psychotherapist.
Yeah, really, absolutely. That's very true.
And what best than getting all of this by making them play games, right? Running around and shouting, and you have war cries and Tarzan's war cry and cowboys hee-haw. While they do all of that, their natural behavior comes out, and then I show them a mirror saying that this is exactly how you are in the game. Let's reflect of how you are in real life and what kind of changes can you do differently. Right?
Very
so
interesting.
That's what we... Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Just tell me one thing, okay? You make this sound very easy. You make this sound very easy. Okay, I went, I got this business and we moved on and we got so many clients. But what kind of hurdles did you face? What kind of challenges do you face? What kind of objections do you face? And how do you overcome such kind of objections? I'm saying this because I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs are watching this show and they would have some sort of, is this too frivolous? How do you kind of overcome that?
Super. So one of the major hurdle we get, okay, is of course the entire price point. Right? Now, when you have to conduct a business simulation, and one of the most beautiful thing which you do is that we can conduct a simulation for not only just 20, 15 or 20 participants, but we can do it for 50, 100, 200, 300 participants at one go. And then some of our simulations are pretty heavy on the entire paraphernalia. So right from your cowboy hats, bandanas, maps. Apart from that, we also require a lot of other additional facilitators. All right. So those particular facilitators are required, and those are that require a lot of cost. Right. So one major challenge, of course, is the cost element is what we face in a major way. All right. What we do is we show them tremendous amount of value in terms of if your teams do not collaborate, what's the tangible outcome to you in the organization? If they're going to be not working together, and we've got super amount of case studies which we share with organization that they have not worked together, and there is huge amount of losses which they have incurred because of that, right? And that's the value creation is what we kind of help them.
All right, awesome. So now we're going to get a little bit about your personal stuff. Okay, now before I start, there's a huge disclaimer. Aleem and me give big talks, that we're marathoners and everything. But for this show, we just go for a walk, okay? Once in 3 days. Okay, that's what it is. Nobody. So Solomon, please tell us, what is this all about your personal stuff? And it's some incredible achievements that you had. Both of us are big running enthusiasts. We love it. And we just want to know about how did this whole running happen and some of those achievements that you had.
Sure. Thank you. Well, I'll just go back to one of the biggest trigger of my life of how did I get into the health and fitness journey. My dad had a heart attack at the age of 42. And he not only had a heart attack during that time, but he was diabetic. He had high blood pressure. He was almost a ton in weight. And after that, he literally was out of action. I went to my family doctor and asked him, "Doctor, what are the chances that I will not get a heart attack when I'm at the age of 42?" And he said, "Solomon, if you're following the exact same lifestyle of your dad and your mom, not 42, but maybe you'll have it much earlier because your lifestyle is completely out of whack." Right? And that was my bigger trigger, that I didn't want to have a heart attack at the age of 42. Right? And that's how my journey of running, of exercise, of yoga, of marathons, and all of that happened. Well,
Hey,
actually,
hang on. That was a trigger, right? That was a trigger. So anybody who gets a trigger will go back to fitness. But look what you've done with that trigger. Guys, look at this. This is what he's done. If you want to get a few numbers in place, this is 23 half marathons, 4 full marathons, 150 kilometers cycling the BRM, Guinness World Record on the largest backward race. Among the top 5 winners of doing 300 Surya Namaskar. Oh my God, I didn't have space below because there's something else coming in another slide later after this. That's like an extreme, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it was the trigger, and that's how I started my journey. So, of course, I used to do a lot of yoga practice, and that's one of my favorite. Doing 300 Surya Namaskars at one go. Right. That's what my favorite was. 23 half marathons, 4 full marathons. Then I actually went to Singapore, and I got a beautiful story from Tony Robbins about this lady called Sister Madonna Buder. How at the age of 47, she started her journey of running. And at the age of 52, she became the first, she did her first full marathon at the age of 52. But at the age of 52, she also did her first full Ironman. All right. Now, 52, first full Ironman. She went on to do a couple of more till the age of 60, couple of more till the age of 70, couple of more till the age of 80. And today, she happens to be the oldest lady on the planet to have completed 45 Ironmans.
My God.
All right. And that was another bigger trigger, saying that till how long will I continue doing only running? All right. And that's how I transition into also doing my Ironman. Right.
Yeah, but
I'm very happy to tell
we
you.
go to but Solomon, before we go into that Ironman, when I started running, my friends used to tell me, that तेरे को कोई काम धंधा नहीं है क्या? यही है क्या? And I never thought I will say this to you one day. That what the hell, man? What are you doing? and to our listeners, I think, Solomon, you need to explain what the Ironman is all about, so they get a perspective that this is not something that everyone can do. So just tell us what's the Ironman.
Yeah. All right. So the Ironman which I do is called Ironman 70.3. Right. Thank you. So it's one of the most difficult endurance sports in the world, where you have to swim in the sea for 1.9 kilometers. Immediately after that, you have to cycle for 90 kilometers. Immediately after that, you have to run for 21.1 kilometers in 8.5 hours, or you get disqualified. All right. So I'm very happy to tell you that I have done 4 times Ironman till date. I have my 5th one coming on 8th of October this year in Goa.
Wow. All the best for that.
Wow. All the best, man. This is amazing that you're able to pull this off. Fantastic.
By the way, Ajit, I want to tell you that even I am an Ironman because I live in Lokhandwala. And that actually is Ironman.
And okay, guys, also remember one thing. Usually when Aleem is talking, on the backdrop, you can see his medals. Can you see? Today there are no medals. The guy just moved the camera. No medals today.
Fabulous. Solomon, tell us very interestingly. I know that you're from the first wave of Ascent, and
right.
I want to know. I mean, it's like 10, 12 years now. I mean, because Ascent is now more than a decade old. Tell us about your Ascent journey, and I'm very curious to know about your first wave, guys. I mean, how do you all think about this?
Yeah, it's been a super fabulous journey for me since I started in 2012, 15th of August, I remember. And where we personally met Harsh Mariwala. That was one of the big thing for me, of course, to personally meet Harsh Mariwala. And then the entire event happened. We got we got our 10, 12 members together and meeting on a month-to-month basis. And I have got this fabulous team of entrepreneurs with me, super inspiring, super engaging. Just meeting them on a month-to-month basis itself is you get refreshed, you get enlightened by their stories, right? So it's a story of learning. In fact, I've gone through ups and downs through this entire 10 years, and they've been brilliant, supporting me, helping me out in a brilliant way. So I would urge all entrepreneurs that they require some kind of a sounding board, right? They require to get some perspective, advice, and all of that. I strongly advise that they should join Ascent.
Amazing. So Salman, we have just about 4-5 minutes before we actually wind up our 30-minute show, and I want you to tell us a little about your family and, of course, the new venture on the book that you're writing. Share that with us.
Super. So I have one wife, Aleem, that's for you.
I knew it was going to come out on a live show. Just make sure nobody sees this.
This is backstage talk, guys. I have one.
And
for all the viewers who are making religious claims otherwise.
And 2 daughters. My wife, of course, is my co-founder, but she's also a nutrition coach. And that's one of the trigger for me to be in my best of the health, even at the age of 50, and continue that journey till the age of 88. That's what I planned, that I will do Ironman every year for the next 38 years of my life. And thanks to my brilliant wife and my exotic coach and executive coach, I would say, that's my wife. I have 2 daughters. One just completed 12th standard. We were trying to push her into health and fitness, but she kind of never wanted to. But surprisingly, she became the sports captain in her 12th standard. And then she became the best student of the college. And surprising, unbelievably, she became the topper with 97.2% in her 12th standard.
Super, congratulations.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And that's how she brilliantly balanced both the element. And then, of course, my younger daughter is in 4th standard. That's a huge gap. That's a huge gap. Yeah. All right. So that's one. It's a lovely family. Yeah. Sorry, Ajit.
No, all that Ironman stuff should finally show off, right? So it's okay. Let it keep going, buddy. Let it keep going.
Tell
us about the book. Yeah, I know. Let's tell us about the book, man. Tell us about the book.
On that note, and that's one of the other trigger, Ajit, is the difference between me and my daughter is 40 years. So by the time she becomes 20, I'm going to be 60, right? But I want to have fun with her all the time, right? Playing with her, running around, shouting. And that's another trigger of me to continue my health and fitness journey, all right? Having said that, since I've worked with most of these CEOs and CXOs and all of these people, they've had always this particular perspective about how do we develop values, behavior, mindsets in the leaders and managers, all right? And that's one of the reasons why I put a book together, and that's almost half done right now. It's called Forgotten Leadership Mindsets, right? And all the lessons which I've got from the leaders, and of course, I'm also interviewing a lot of leaders to have their perspective about how they have inculcated these mindsets, and they would want their people, their employees, their leaders and managers to inculcate the same values, behavior, mindset to help grow and scale the organization.
Fabulous.
How amazing is that?
The last word on the show is put by Pamti.
Yeah.
she's telling us to be careful.
Yeah, for viewers who don't know, she runs the show from behind. She gets the entire show together. Yeah, but Salman, amazing story, man. Fabulous listening to you, and truly inspiring as to what you've done. And we look forward to hearing more from you. And to most of our viewers, he's got a lot of content out there on the social media, on YouTube. You should check it out. Really good stuff. And be happy to reach out to him. So thank you, Solomon. Thank you very much for taking time out. Thanks for being with us today.
See you
Thank
soon.
you so much. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Oh man, Pankti, if you're listening to us next time, you're not going to get any better runner than the two of us. Okay, it's not happening. It dwarfs us completely, man. see, now looks so normal. You can see the medals. It makes us feel like something doesn't dwarf us in any way. But okay, guys, we're at the end of the. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're at the end of the show. So if you are an entrepreneur and just happy doing what you're doing, then follow us on LinkedIn or any of the other social media or on all the podcast channels. And every Friday at 11 a.m., we'll come with an interesting story that inspires you. But if you believe that the next decade is for India and you are there at the right place doing the right thing, then get to ascentfoundation.in and apply for membership. Now, again, I'd like to remind you, this is not like pay a fee and you become a member. It doesn't work like that. Ascent is going to get in touch with you. They're going to evaluate you. And if you're truly growth-ready entrepreneur, then we'll be happy to see you as part of our cohort. So, guys, get to ascentfoundation.in. And we are going to see you next Friday at 11 a.m. back again here with another interesting story. Have a brilliant weekend. Bye-bye.
And see you next week. Take care. Bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.